Very good morning, student. Shendye madam here. Let us begin today's meet. Let us mention first the lecture details. Today is 12th of October and we are engaging serial first lecture of the day. So lecture number 1 for subject physics by Shendye Madam by MVS. Today we'll proceed further in continuation with a discussion with the content from previous lecture. So yesterday we were discussing propagation of light through optical medium in the form of ray. Light has a dual nature. We have assumed light in the form of ray. When it propagates through homogeneous open medium, light covers infinite distance with same velocity along same line and in the same direction. So that we studied yesterday. Today we'll proceed with its propagation, suppose in non-homogeneous medium. So if the medium is non-homogeneous, means density in the given region through which light is propagating is not same, is not equal, non-homogeneous. Then what happens? We get different regions along the path of ray having different densities, and that two regions of different densities are separated by boundary. That boundary behaves as obstacle. So let us consider the ray passing through non-homogeneous region. Then what happens? During along its path, it strikes on the obstacle and executes different phenomena. So different phenomenon can only be observed during propagation of light in non-homogeneous optical medium. It may propagate through a series of number of optical media having different densities. Accordingly, separating two regions, we get number of boundaries. The nature of boundary separating the two media of different densities is either denser or rarer. Different cases may happen. Suppose during the propagation, the ray of light is moving through a series of different optical media having different densities and boundaries everywhere separating two regions. Suppose is transparent, means even if ray is incident on the boundary separating two regions in the given along the path of different densities, the ray can go through, can pass through the boundary and can enter the other medium. For example, if I consider the case, if I have a beaker, in the beaker, if I placed a glass chip at the bottom and if I pour water inside it, I will keep a source of light at the bottom of this beaker. So I have kept this source in air. The beaker is suppose transparent, made up of glass. So light will pass through this glass and will enter the glass slab. Glass slab again is a transparent medium. So it will get through the glass and it will enter inside the water. So it is following a series of different optical media and hence passing through non-homogeneous medium between any two regions, suppose air and glass chip, the boundary is transparent. Between glass and water inside the beaker, again the boundary separating glass chip and water is transparent. So what happens? It passes through the other media while crossing a while during its propagation. And here you observe phenomenon of refraction. So in this phenomenon, wait, wait a while. Here we observe refraction phenomenon. If during the path of light through non-homogeneous medium where boundary surface is denser, means opaque in nature, like a plane mirror, then what happens when incident on this obstacle, since the boundary is opaque in nature, it cannot propagate in the next region and you get phenomenon of reflection. So different phenomenon we observe when light passes through non-homogeneous medium. So refraction, reflection, such phenomenon can be explained on the basis of propagation of ray of light through non-homogeneous medium. Only learning the phenomenon theoretically, it is not sufficient. We have to use them practically, and based on this phenomenon we generally prepare different optical instruments which we use in our daily life for our ease. So the application of this phenomenon is more important, and these optical instruments we use for our ease. So working of different optical instruments, simplest instruments is different types of mirrors, lenses, prisms, etc. Few complicated optical instruments which principle can be explained on the basis of the same phenomena are simple microscope, compound microscope, telescopes, etc. And in each time we observe formation of image of the object, and thus we are more interested to locate the position of the image form, also to observe the nature of the image form. Generally, to obtain the nature and study the formation of image using different optical instruments. We draw ray diagrams, and while in ray diagrams we have to use or we have to measure different distances by with respect to one particular reference point. So you have to follow few conventions. Different systems of conventions we can use, but most popular and now accepted worldwide system of sign conventions is Cartesian sign convention, which is analogous to our Cartesian coordinate system. So we use Cartesian coordinate system to measure different distances and to derive the formula in different that particular cases. So the use of ray optics is using different phenomena. The light shows while behaving as ray. We have to design different optical instruments and we have to study formation of images by them. These instruments working can be explained on the basis of property of light. So let us move further to study formation of image by different optical instruments. We adopt Cartesian sign conventions for measurements and to derive the formulae between the relative terms. So today we'll proceed further to get Cartesian sign convention. It is on page 160 from the book, point number 9.3.1. So today we will discuss the point 9.3.1 and we will study how to use Cartesian sign conventions. Before we move further to study Cartesian sign conventions, let us assume few things. Means during the propagation of light in the medium, may be homogeneous or may be non-homogeneous, we assume it initially moves through air. हमेशा लाइट एयर में मूव होता है इनिशियली. द फर्स्ट मीडियम थ्रू विच इट इज प्रोपगेटिंग वी विल एज्यूम टू बी एयर. ये हम लोगों को एज्यूम करना है. सो फर्स्ट अजम्पशन before proceeding further we will make light always travels initially through air medium. ये हम लोगों को एज्यूम करना है. And using this, we will proceed further for Cartesian sign conventions. It is analogous to Cartesian coordinates system. And using this, we are able to measure different distances, different sizes. Also, are able to derive formulae relating different terms involved in a particular case. सो कार्टेशियन साइन कन्वेंशंस में हम लोग एज्यूम क्या करते हैं. वी विल एज्यूम एक्स एक्सिस टू बी द प्रिंसिपल एक्सिस. सो फर्स्ट साइन कन्वेंशन इज एक्स एक्सिस इज चोजन कन्वीनियंटली. बट मोस्ट ऑफ द 100% होता ही है, वो ज्यादा इजी होता है. सो 100% टाइम्स वी सिलेक्ट एक्स एक्सिस टू बी प्रिंसिपल एक्सिस एंड इट्स origin, because along x axis you get 0, to the right of 0 plus, and to the left of 0 the quantities are minus. So what we will consider x axis as a principal axis and its origin is the reference point for drawing the figure. हम लोग जब भी रे डायग्राम निकालते हैं ना तभी हम लोगों को ये सब यूज करना है. तो हम लोग एज्यूम क्या करेंगे, एक्स एक्सिस अपना रेफरेंस एक्सिस है, प्रिंसिपल एक्सिस है, और उसका ओरिजिन फॉर द एंटायर फिगर वी choose as reference point. Most of the times it is labeled as pole. ये अपनी पहली कन्वेंशन है. We will consider distances to the left of pole negative and distances to the right of pole positive. हाँ, मैं क्या बोलती हूँ देखो, distances to the left and distances to the right of pole are considered negative and positive respectively. Third convention, the object should be kept in such a way the incident ray will always travel from left side to right side while drawing the diagram. जब भी हम लोग ड्राइंग डायग्राम निकालेंगे तभी आप लोगों को ऑब्जेक्ट इस तरह रखना पड़ेगा, considering x axis as the principal axis and reference point as the origin of x axis, so that incident rays travel from always left to right. This is third sign convention. Number 4, all distances measured vertically, transversely, transverse means perpendicular, so vertically, that is along the y-axis, above the principal axis, that is reference line, you can refer, should be considered positive, and below x-axis reference line should be considered a negative. Again, at y, above side from origin you will get positive values, and below origin of its own axis, y-axis, we get negative values, negative quantities. So if we use Cartesian sign conventions, which are based on our Cartesian coordinate system, to measure distances, to measure heights, to measure different terms involved, will be very useful, and hence generally while drawing ray diagram, while locating the position of image, always, as well as the nature of image, Cartesian sign conventions are used. Because what is our principle? The ray should travel from left to right. Suppose ray travels in opposite direction. Suppose ray is traveling parallel to y-axis. Then, according to sign conventions, that distance should be given the sign. It should be assigned with the sign. जो distances हम लोग measure करते हैं, that distances may be along x-axis, along y-axis, below, above x as well as y-axis. So there should be certain signs given to their numeric values while discussing the formula in that particular case. So for that, we have to assume all these things. So first thing, incident ray should travel from left to right. X-axis prominently should be chosen as principal axis. Its origin, generally labeled as pole, should be considered as reference point for this entire diagram. Vertical transverse distances above the principal x-axis positive, below the principal x-axis should be considered negative. Right to pole along x-axis positive, and opposite or left to the pole of x-axis considered to be negative. Using these conventions, we will study the use of different phenomena in our practical life. So let us begin with phenomenon reflection first. जब ये रिफ्लेक्शन हो जाता है तभी क्या क्या होता है ये हम लोग पहले लर्न करेंगे. फॉर द रिफ्लेक्शन some conditions should be satisfied. So when we observe a reflection, what are the requirements? क्या होगी पहली रिक्वायरमेंट क्या हो जाएगी? The requirements to observe reflection. I am talking about reflection now. Phenomenon reflection. So the basic conditions should be satisfied if we observe phenomenon of reflection. So when reflection occurs, very first condition, light does not change the medium. मीडियम उसका बदलता है क्या? नहीं बदलता है. It is incident on the boundary which is opaque one, which is from denser side, and hence there is no change in medium. The ray is incident on this boundary. Boundary is opaque one. So ray cannot pass through the boundary and can enter the medium on its other side. So reflection में क्या है? The ray does not change the medium. When gets rebounded back in the same medium following certain laws, we say reflection is occurring. So the boundary surface should be opaque. Ray should not change the medium even after suffers reflection. And third thing, it should get rebound back in the same incident medium following certain rules. That rules are called laws of reflection. Incident ray, reflected ray on opposite sides of normal. Both should lie in one medium. Angle of incidence, angle of reflection should be always the same. These are few laws using which reflection always governs. So this is the reflection. Very first condition, while passing through non-homogeneous medium, the light should incident on the boundary of nature opaque one. For example, different types of mirrors. The mirror may be plain or mirror may be curved. दोनों टाइप के मिरर्स में हम लोग रिफ्लेक्शन स्टडी करते हैं. The other phenomenon we generally come across when light propagates through non-homogeneous medium is refraction. अभी रिफ्रैक्शन में क्या होता है? The boundary on which light incident, if is transparent, in nature, the ray can cross the boundary and can enter the medium on the other side of boundary. But on both opposite sides of the boundary, the media should be optical. दोनों मीडिया ऐसे चाहिए उसमें लाइट पास हो सकता है. Then we observe change in medium. Even ray is incident on the boundary because boundary is transparent in nature, and hence while refraction the boundary should be transparent in nature. Ray changes the medium after suffering refraction. This is the spatial speciality of refraction. And when changes the medium, it should change, it should move in such a way following certain rules which are called laws of refraction. So in refraction, we have two media simultaneously. दोनों मीडिया के बारे में हम लोगों को सोचना पड़ता है. So tomorrow in my lecture, we will proceed further to study phenomenon reflection of light first, and then we'll switch over on the phenomenon refraction. So the time is up. So I am winding the meet for all. Before winding, I just want to announce few things. If possible, during lecture, you try to derive your own note. Always be ready with notebooks and textbooks. आपने क्या होता है टेक्स्ट बुक में बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स दिए नहीं रहते जो मैं बताती हूँ लेक्चर सिखाते समय. तो जो पॉइंट्स आप लोगों को इम्पोर्टेंट लगते हैं वो पॉइंट्स आप लोग लिखना चाहिए. लिख लिख डालो. And you prepare your own notes. Self study is very important. I am posting assignments per lecture. जो लेक्चर में सीखा जाता है उसके ऊपर मैं एक असाइनमेंट आप लोगों को शेयर कर रही हूँ. गो स्टेप बाय स्टेप. बुक में एक्सरसाइज भी दिया है. दैट एक्सरसाइज ऑल्सो यू हैव टू सॉल्व, नो डाउट, बट रीच द एक्सरसाइज अ लिटिल लेटर. पहले पूरा लेसन पढ़ो, उसकी तैयारी करो और बाद में एक्सरसाइज सॉल्व करने की सोचो. यू ऑलवेज कीप योर नोटबुक्स रेडी और अपडेट. अभी वो नोटबुक्स मेरे पास अभी लाके नहीं देनी है. आई विल share the notice on the group when to submit the updated notebooks. अपना अपना होमवर्क आज का आज हर एक सब्जेक्ट का आप लोगों को पूरा करना पड़ेगा, करना ही है. ऐसा डिसाइड करो रात को नहीं सोएंगे जब तक मेरा पूरा काम दिन का कंप्लीट नहीं हो जाता है. ऑलवेज कीप नोटबुक्स रेडी and then go for the first you read thoroughly each and every sentence from your given textbook and then go for additional reference books. Otherwise based on different phenomenon, आज मैंने रिफ्रैक्शन रिफ्लेक्शन का इंट्रोडक्शन दिया, उसके ऊपर अगर कोई क्वेश्चंस एक्सरसाइज में है that you can solve. You should not wait till the chapter gets over, but you focus on that questions from the exercise related to the contents already taught in the class. वन बाय वन जाओ. तो असाइनमेंट हर एक को सॉल्व करनी ही है. टुडे ऑल्सो आई विल लॉन्च द वीडियो YouTube link via YouTube link of today's lecture and will post the assignment. Everyone has to solve an assignment in question answer form in the notebook with today's date, and whenever we ask to submit the updated notebook you have to submit that time. Do not worry, you can refer few reference books along with the board textbook. So you have to join the next meet. Tomorrow we'll meet again. I am winding the meet for all.